I'm writing this from a throwaway account because my friends know my main one, and I really don't want them finding this post and teasing me about it. The story is long, but I guess this is the only place where I can tell it without getting a million questions. I'm 25 and live in a small city. I work at a coffee shop. Not because it's my life's dream, but because I love the atmosphere. The smell of freshly ground beans, the quiet music, the people who come every day and become almost familiar. And among those almost familiar people, there was one guy I couldn't stand. Let's call him John. He came in every day at exactly 8:15. Always ordered the same thing. Oat cappuccino, 0.3, no foam. And every single time he complained. Too hot, too cold. You made foam again. You filled it too much. I swear he did it on purpose. He was one of those people who look like they have everything under control. Neat haircut, expensive watch, confident walk. And that confidence annoyed me. I thought, of course, another office god who thinks the world revolves around his coffee. One morning, he came in later than usual, at 8:40. I was already mentally preparing for another, "you did it wrong again," but he looked different, tired, a little lost even. He walked up to the counter and said, "Can I just have something warm?" No specifics, no nitpicking, no 0.3 or no foam, just something warm. I made him a latte, the most ordinary one, and when I put the cup on the counter, he suddenly said, "Thank you. It's a hard day." I don't know what came over me, but I asked, "Do you want to talk about it?" He looked up at me, and for the first time ever, I didn't see irritation or demands in his eyes. I saw exhaustion, real exhaustion. He sat at the table by the window. I brought him the coffee, and he told me. He told me his mom was in the hospital, that he hadn't slept for almost 2 days, that he was scared, that he didn't know how to stay strong when everything was falling apart. And in that moment, I realized I'd only ever seen the mask. Underneath it was a person who was just trying to hold himself together. From that day on, everything changed. He started coming not just for coffee, but to talk. Sometimes for 5 minutes, sometimes for an hour. He told me about work, about his family, about how he loved running in the mornings. I told him about weird customers, about how I dream of opening a tiny bookstore. We laughed. A lot. And the more I got to know him, the more I realized he wasn't at all the person I'd imagined. One evening, he came in when the shop was already closing. I was mopping the floor, and he stood in the doorway, holding a bag. "I thought you might be tired," he said. "I brought dinner." It was just simple falafel from the place next door, but I remember how my heart tightened, because no one had ever brought me dinner just because. We sat on the floor, eating from the boxes, and he suddenly said, "You know, I used to think you hated me." I laughed. "I really did think you were a pain," he smiled. "And now?" I looked at him, at his tired eyes, his soft smile, the way he held the falafel box like he was afraid to drop it. "And now," I said, "now I think you're the kindest person I've ever met." He went quiet. Then he said softly, "Can I hug you?" And it was the warmest, calmest, most right hug of my life. It's been 3 months since then. His mom recovered. He started coming to the coffee shop not at 8:15, but at 7:55, so he'd have time to sit with me before work. Sometimes he helps me close the shift. Sometimes we go for walks after work. Sometimes he just sits next to me while I read. And yesterday he said, "I used to think coffee was the most important part of my morning. But then I realized it was you. I don't know what happens next. Maybe this is just a beautiful chapter of my life. Or maybe it's the beginning of something bigger. But I know one thing. Sometimes the people who annoy us the most turn out to be the ones we needed all along. I'm writing this from a throwaway account because my friends know my main one, and I really don't want them finding this post and asking, "Is this about him? The guy from your office?" Yes, it's him. But let me start from the beginning. I'm 25, living in Seattle, working at a marketing agency. We have a huge open space, glass walls, a coffee machine that's always broken, and people who pretend everything is under control. Among them was him, the guy I noticed from day one. His name was Liam, tall, confident, with those eyes that look like they read you faster than you can blink. He worked in development, and every time you walked past my desk, something inside me tightened. But we barely talked. Just short, "Hey, morning, see you." And it drove me crazy. One Friday, I stayed late at work. It was around 9:30 p.m., the office almost empty, just the desk lamps and the sound of rain outside. I was finishing a presentation when I heard footsteps. I looked up, and there was Liam. He stood by the coffee machine, wearing a dark t-shirt, hair messy from the rain. He looked at me and smiled. "You're still here?" "Looks like it," I said. He walked closer. "Do you always work this late?" "Only when I want to impress the bosses." He smirked. "You already do." My breath caught for a second. He sat on the edge of my desk, close enough that I could smell his cologne. Warm, woody, way too distracting. He glanced at my screen, then at me. "Want a break?" "And what are you offering?" He leaned in slightly. "A walk. The rooftop looks amazing after the rain." I don't know why I said yes. Maybe because I was tired. Maybe because he looked at me like he'd been waiting for this. Maybe because I'd been waiting too. We went up to the roof. The rain had stopped. The air was cool, the city glowing below us. Liam stood beside me, hands in his pockets, wind messing up his hair. "You know," he said, "I've wanted to talk to you properly for a long time." "What stopped you?" He looked at me. "You." "Me?" "You always look so put together, like you're impossible to approach." I laughed. "And you always look like you don't care." He took a step closer. "That's not true." My heart was pounding. He was close enough that I could feel the warmth from him. And in that moment, I realized we were both tired of pretending. "Liam," I started, but he cut me off softly. "Can I be honest?" I nodded. "I think about you every day, since the first day. And I tried to keep my distance, but..." He stepped even closer. "You make that impossible." I didn't get a chance to answer. He lifted his hand and brushed a strand of hair from my face. Slowly, gently, like he was asking for permission. His fingers grazed my cheek, and the touch sent shivers down my spine. "If I'm wrong," he whispered, "tell me now." I didn't. I stepped toward him instead. He wrapped his arms around my waist, pulled me closer, and in that moment, the whole world disappeared. There were only his hands, his breath, his warmth. It wasn't rushed or desperate. It was everything we'd been holding back for months, finally breaking through. We stayed like that for a long time. Under the city lights, above the noise of traffic, with the wind tugging at our clothes. He held me like he didn't want to let go. "I don't want this to be just a moment," he said quietly. "I want more." "So do I said. We went back to the office around 10:15 p.m., but neither of us planned to keep working. He walked me to my car, holding my hand like it was the most natural thing in the world. It's been 2 months since then. We still work in the same office, but now he brings me coffee in the mornings. Sometimes we stay late, but not because we have to, because we don't want to leave. And yesterday he said, "Remember that night on the roof?" Of course. That's when I realized I didn't want to pretend I didn't care anymore. And I realized that sometimes the most passionate stories don't start with big declarations. They start with a quiet, "You're still here?" in an empty office late at night.